Hey, what's up guys, Tony here, and you're watching some Crysis 3 gameplay, and I want to get this out sooner, but the problem is that I didn't actually buy the game until the end of last week or something. I've been unemployed for like the last 3 weeks, so I didn't really have disposable income. And then Snoov and I got talking about Crysis 3, and he really wanted to get playing. I think it was on Saturday or something like that. And so I was looking at my games, and I'm like, you know what? I've got a lot of Call of Duty games that I know I'm never going to play. So I packed up a bunch of games, and I took them to GameStop, and they had this like special going on where you could trade in, I don't know, it was like several games, and you got extra money for it. Anyways, I walked out there with over $120 in trade-in to GameStop. So I was like, yeah, so I'm going to take Crysis, and I'm going to put money down on MLB 13. I took in like 5 or 6 games, and I had like 120 bucks. It was amazing. The guy was like, if you didn't have your rewards card or whatever, you know, I would have given you $5 in cash. That's what you would have gotten like after buying Crysis. So I had an extra $60 because of that. And I don't mean that to sound like a total advertisement for GameStop, but it's just the facts of the matter. It's just like, oh, okay, it was cool. It was awesome. So I thought I'd just share that real quick. The thing though is that I wanted to do this commentary about Crysis because I actually didn't crack it. I mean, I cracked open and played some of the single player campaign, but I didn't crack it open and actually play the multiplayer until yesterday. And I was sort of shocked to find out that the game is DOA. It's dead on arrival, unfortunately. There are literally less than 1,500 people playing worldwide on Crysis 3 right now. And I mean, I know it was a Monday night, but still, on any given night playing Call of Duty or Battlefield, you know, those major, probably even Medal of Honor, you'll still find more than 1,500 people playing. The most populated game mode was Team Deathmatch, and it had like 644 people playing that mode, and then it just tapered on down from there. Crash Site was like 100 and something. There was a game mode, I think it was like a developer's game mode, or maybe it was like Crash Site super hardcore mode or whatever it was. 0 people, not one person playing that game mode. So Chris, my buddy Leon, Chris, and Snoov and we were trying to get games in, you know, and I actually wanted to record for this commentary, not for this specific commentary, but just for commentaries in general. And I was really upset with the fact that there wasn't a lot of people playing, because it's a game that, for PC people, that's like the gold standard. It's just like, can your PC run Crysis 3? That is, if it can, then you've got a shitty or a top-notch PC. If you can't, then you got a shitty PC and you need to upgrade. So that's like the gold standard, it seems like, for people on PC. I know that Scanner and some other people were like, that's gonna be my benchmark, you know, whether or not I can run Crysis 3. And for the consoles, of course, they made it so you can play it on the consoles, or else they wouldn't make it. So it's interesting that a game that has this much hype and this much of a legacy, I would say, has not done as well as I think a lot of people were expecting it to do. And I don't know why. It's really weird, because there's a lot of die-hard Crysis fans out there. I wouldn't really consider myself a die-hard, but I enjoy the series. And when Crysis 1 was out, I actually didn't play it a lot. And this is what I'm going to get into about the whole dead on arrival thing, is for Crysis 2, when it first came out a couple years ago, I played it. I played the multiplayer. I wasn't as good of a player as I am now. I've definitely gotten better since when I was playing Crysis 2. And the thing, though, is that I didn't like it because I didn't quite understand the power management. That was an aspect I was getting over, but I was getting better as I was playing. That wasn't the issue. The issue was I had a hard time with connections. Connections were always a problem. And this is a peer-to-peer setup. And so you'll see in this video, you've probably already seen that we all started this game with red bars. All of us, red barred. The weird part is my buddy Leon and I, you'll see L-tan, or I-tan it looks like. It's kind of funny. That's sort of, yeah, don't worry about it. So anyways, Leon, he's in Texas, I'm here in California. Chris and Sue are obviously on the East Coast. Well, when Leon and I were playing, we were getting 4 bars and 3 bars, no problem. But the second we got Chris and Snoov into the mix, we all had red bars. It was just like, whoa, what's going on? And then you add in 3 or 4 French players, or maybe French Canadians, because they were speaking French in the lobby, so you could hear them, and it's like, oh, okay, this is bad. But the thing is, connections were really bad in Crysis 2, and it was one of the reasons why I stopped playing the multiplayer. I wasn't having fun, you know. And this is coming from a guy who was playing Call of Duty, you know, Black Ops, which had its own connection issues from time to time, and all peer-to-peers had these connection issues from time to time. But Crysis, it was so bad that it pushed me away. And so I stopped playing the multiplayer. and I just played the single player. I played the campaign all the way through, and it was actually a very enjoyable campaign. It's in my top 5 of single player campaigns on first person shooters. And it was really enjoyable, and it was just stunning. It was beautiful. Just everything about the game was awesome. So of course, when Crysis 3 was going to come out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this game for sure. I don't know if I'm going to play the multiplayer aspect of the game just because like it wasn't all that good, but I know I'm playing the single player for sure. That is a given. So with the Crysis 3 beta that they had out, or even the demo if you want to call it a demo, but the beta that was out, I really enjoyed the beta. I had a lot of fun playing the beta. I didn't really have that many connection issues. I mean, from time to time it got a little spotty. You're like, okay, I feel like I should have killed that guy. Why did I die so fast? You know, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's kind of natural. That's going to happen with all peer-to-peer games. So I wasn't really concerned about it. I was going to pick up Crysis 3 no matter what. And so now here I am finally jumping on. It saddens me to see that there's just so few players out there. And I'm trying to figure out why. Because it's a game that a lot of people were looking forward to. A lot of people were expecting, and yet I don't know what its sales figures are. That's the thing. I don't know about the sales figures. But it's multiplayer. It's just there weren't a lot of people playing it. And so I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to keep playing the game. But you can see already, and this was kind of the same for Crysis 2, there are some die-hard, dedicated Crysis players, because even, I think I'm like a level 12 or 13 now or something like that. There were people like level 45, almost level 50s out there, you know, playing this game. I mean, those are like Call of Duty-like dedication to playing 5 or 6 hours a day from release or more to get to where they're at now. I'm like, holy shit. So for a certain minority, the game's not dead. You know, they're still going to play the crap out of it. But it seems just from the player count that it's dead on arrival. It's just sort of just multiplayer-wise, it flopped. And I don't know if maybe from a standpoint like myself, who like I said, I enjoyed the game for the single player aspect of it. I didn't really play it for the multiplayer aspect after a while, and so I want to know, and it's sort of a question, an internal question I have that I don't know if you guys can answer. Maybe for those of you guys who play Crysis 2, you guys can answer this, but were you intending on purchasing Crysis 3 just for the multiplayer? I mean, for the single player, not for the multiplayer? Because that's me. That's definitely me. I mean, I'm surprised. I actually really like the multiplayer. The multiplayer feels far more balanced, and the maps are big enough that you're not getting these crazy engagements all the time. So for me, the experience of the multiplayer has actually been enhanced. It's a better multiplayer game in Crysis 3 than it was in Crysis 2. That's my personal feelings about it. There might be some who disagree with me completely, but I just think that it's interesting, just the fact that it is sort of dead on the PlayStation. I don't know about the Xbox, and I certainly don't know about the PC as well. So I'm kind of curious to hear from some of those guys that I know who are PC players, whether or not Crysis 3 is dead on the PC or not. But PlayStation 3 right now, it looks pretty dead. I'm going to give it some time, like I said. I'm going to play it some more. Maybe on the weekends it'll bump up. We'll have to see. But last night it was ridiculous. So I'm thinking, like I said, I think it might be people who absolutely love the campaign. And it might be just that fact alone that people are buying the game, but people are just not putting the time and effort into a multiplayer. And this gets into a bigger commentary that I'm going to end up doing a TriCast about, which is going to be about the fact or the idea of whether or not multiplayer games are you know, like, do you buy games for the multiplayer? So does that mean the campaigns, the single player campaigns are dead? Like, why bother making those anymore? And it kind of makes me wonder, like, this might be the exception to that rule, because I kind of think, without getting too much into it, I kind of think that multiplayer games are what the game is. So when you buy, like, Battlefield, you're not buying Battlefield the campaign, you're buying Battlefield access to the multiplayer. That's the game that you're buying, not the campaign. Like, it used to be the campaign, you bought it, and then it had a little multiplayer aspect with it that you got as sort of bonus. Now it's like, the game is the multiplayer, the bonus is the single player that some of us don't even get to anymore. So that's kind of my take on it, and that's kind of my take on why I think, to be honest, that Crysis 3 so far is dead on arrival. It's just that people are playing it not for the multiplayer, but for the single player, the campaign mode. So I guess time will tell. I'm going to give it, I guess in video game times, a fair assessment would be probably 2 weeks from release date. That'll give you sort of an idea of who's stuck around. That's sort of the honeymoon period of any first-person shooters, the first couple weeks, maybe in the first month or so, and we'll see if the player count picks up over the weekend or not. But I don't want to give up on it just yet. So, like I said, the only other thing that's kind of spotty is the connections. Those seem to continue to be spotty. But I want to know, what is your impressions about Crysis 3 if you guys have played it. So, anyways, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I'll talk to you guys later.